Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Singh. Topping our newscast, the Office of Highway Safety is getting ready to crack down on drunk driving this week. Officials announced the Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over campaign during a press conference Monday morning. It kicks off Wednesday, and along with increased education about the dangers of drunk driving, police will be out in full force to crack down on impaired drivers. News 2's Erica Parsons has details.
Starting Wednesday, when VIPD says zero tolerance for drunk driving, they mean it.
This initiative is geared up to focus specifically on DUI arrests. We will have special people out designated just for that.
The Office of Highway Safety, working together with the police department, will be targeting drunk drivers during a 20-day campaign starting August 19th. The theme? Drive sober or get pulled over.
We will be doing checkpoints on various locations that are previously designated.
The local campaign is running alongside the national campaign, and the two go through Labor Day when police see a higher number of impaired driving. Nationally, more than 10,000 people were killed in 2013 in drunk driving crashes. Locally, we've seen a drastic increase in drunk driving incidents from 2010 to 2014. During that 5-year period, police arrested 898 people for impaired driving. There were 488 DUI-related accidents and 7 people killed because of drunk driving.
As you can see, those numbers are staggering when it comes to crashes, injuries, and arrests. So remember, our theme for the year is Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over. It affects everyone, not only you, when you do this.
So the point here is there will be a lot more police on the road, a lot more police checkpoints, and police say drive sober or get pulled over. Or if you want to drink, just get a designated driver. Sandy?
Thanks for that, Erica. Again, the VIPD is ramping up its efforts to crack down on drunk driving. That's beginning Wednesday up until September 7th, which is Labor Day. So please remember, drive sober or get pulled over. In police reports on August 13 at roughly 12:30 p.m., a victim on St. John told police she was taking a morning walk in the area of Ram's Head by Salt Pond when an African-American male suddenly appeared from the bushes, forced her to the ground, and proceeded to sexually assault her. Once the victim was able to get away, she made contact with friends employed at the resort, and they immediately took the victim to the Myra Keating Clinic. VIPD, along with rangers from the National Park Service, conducted a search for the suspect based on a description rendered by the victim, located and detained J.D. Brathwaite, 28, of Mandal, St. John. On Friday, August 14, officers were dispatched to the Louis Hospital to investigate the report of a shooting victim seeking treatment. The victim stated that as he was driving out of the Harvey housing community in Estate Prophet, an unknown individual fired shots at him. Realizing that he had been shot, he drove himself to the medical facility for treatment. Again, on Friday, August 14th at 7:56 p.m., VIPD officers and detectives responded to the hospital and met with a shooting victim who stated that he was walking his dog in the Fleming Circle area when he was approached by 2 black males with guns in a blue-colored vehicle. The individuals then took his mobile phone and $30 in cash, shot him in his foot, and left the area. The victim is a 25-year-old male who resides in the Harrigan Court housing community. He sustained a gunshot wound to the instep of his right foot. On Thursday, August 13th at 5:30 a.m., officers from the Economic Crime Unit executed an arrest warrant issued by Superior Court of the VI for Tamala Walker, 31, of Bethlehem Village. According to the arrest warrant, Walker was charged with embezzlement by employee agent, obtaining money by false pretense, forgery, and grand larceny. The charges stem from the period of 2011 to 2012 when Walker, as the manager of a local fast food restaurant, failed to make deposits totaling $79,179. Bail for Tamala Walker was set at $10,000, and unable to post bail, she was remanded to the Bureau of Corrections pending advice of rights. Police continue to investigate. They say on Thursday at 8:36 p.m. there was a carjacking at the Gas for Less service station in Sunny Isle. The victim stated that she parked her vehicle in the station, leaving her sister in the vehicle and keys in the ignition. She went into the convenience store and heard a scream, returned outside to see 2 men and her sister as her sister was pushed out of the vehicle. The sister said that the young male stood at the door with a black bandana covering his face, gun in hand, and demanded that she get out. The suspect placed the gun to her head as the second male, she said, sat in the driver's seat. The suspects drove off in the victim's gold-colored Honda Acura license plate number CDF002. Well, some updates on the trial of former Internal Revenue Bureau Director Lois Lolo Willis. Jury selection began today at the Superior Court. Willis is charged with one count of conspiracy to evade or defeat taxes, fraud, and providing false statements. Involved in the case is Balbo Construction owner Gerard Castor, who only 2 weeks ago was also arrested for 10 counts of conspiracy, as well as bribery charges, along with former PFA Director Julito Francis and VI architect John Woods. According to the indictment, Willis took $5,000 in bribes in exchange for tampering with Castor's tax returns, which allowed the construction owner to understate his company's tax returns by $3 million. Willis served as Internal Revenue Director until 2006 and as Executive Director at the legislature from 2009 to 2012. Senate budget hearings continued Monday at the Earl B. Otley Legislative Building on St. Thomas. Newly appointed Acting Attorney General Claude Walker led his team in defending their fiscal year 2016 budget, but also ended up fielding questions from lawmakers, from Hovenza inquiries to the Civil Rights Commission. NEWS2's April Knight has that story.
The Department of Justice is asking the Senate for $18.7 million for fiscal year 2016. Almost $13 million of that would come from the general fund. And justice officials say they need every bit of the funding to fulfill their mandate.
We're the only department that has to live up to an ideal, justice. Our mission is to ensure and to guard justice for the people and the government of the Virgin Islands.
And yet, one area under the department has been consistently unable to mete out justice, stacking up on hundreds of unresolved cases because its board has not had a quorum in years. The Civil Rights Commission has cases backlogged up to 5 years, and without 2 more board members to at least make quorum, those cases will continue to gather dust.
For 4-5 years, we couldn't get 2 members to complement the board.
Yes, unfortunately.
That's justice denied.
Lawmakers also inquired on the status of various Hovenza lawsuits for which the current administration received $1 million for litigation expenses.
It's very, very important that we clarify the various litigations that are taking place. Our claim against Hovenza for breach of contract. That's not discussed in this testimony. I don't know what the status of it is. But that's separate and apart from the natural resources litigation that's already been settled. And that's separate and apart from the tax cases that Hess has brought against us.
Reporting for NEWS2, I'm April Knight.
And also before the Senate Finance Committee Monday were officials from the Office of the Public Defender who also presented their fiscal year 2016 budget. Keeping our eye on the economy, here's the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. Everything up. The Dow 69, NASDAQ 14, S&P 500 8. Coming up on NEWS2, an update from Claudio Marco School 7 months after labor leaders went to the media about a propane Welcome back. Innovative long-distance service was interrupted during the early afternoon of Friday, August 14th. And here's an update. The service outage was due to a connectivity failure between Innovative and its carriers on the mainland. Mac Buckelbauer, the Senior Vice President and Chief Technical Officer, stated due to a fiber cut on the mainland in Miami, Innovative circuits were impacted. Approximately 800 customers encountered brief long-distance interruptions until the services was rerouted over another link. Mainland long-distance carriers, along with the direct participation of Innovative's technical technicians and engineers, worked immediately to address the issue, and service was fully restored to working order by 2 p.m. of the same day. Well, some sad news: an attempt at a world record has ended in tragedy. Many are saddened to learn of a missing doctor. As the search, however, continues, the U.S. Coast Guard, VIPD, and Marine Unit and several other local boats continue their search. According to scubaboard.com and other reports, Dr. Garman, who was attempting a world record deep dive, entered the water at approximately 6 a.m. on Saturday morning for what was scheduled to be a 10-hour and 25-minute total run time deep dive to 1,200 feet. However, he added Dr. Garman never arrived at that first stop. Dr. Garman ran an ear, nose, and throat center in the Beeston Hill Medical Center. Many are familiar with him. Count on two to keep you updated. We will keep you abreast. The St. Croix Government Retirees Organization is meeting Tuesday for their regular meeting. The group wants to advise the public that the venue is different for this month's meeting. The new location is the Cast Iron Pot Bar and Restaurant in Princess. The meeting starts at the usual time of 1 p.m. and it's open to the entire public. The St. Croix retirees meet every third Tuesday of the month. Well, public schools are getting ready to reopening in a few weeks, and the St. Croix Labor Union president says they're not ready, but she wants to call attention to a health and safety issue at one school in particular that she's talked about before. News 2's Erica Parsons has the story.
I am quite upset that the propane tank is still here because I've been having conversation all along with the Department of Education.
7 months after labor leaders went to the media about a propane tank being placed on Claudio Marco Elementary School's campus, it's still there.
I don't think we could put a price tag on the lives of our members as well as our students. I think that this tank needs to be removed immediately.
St. Croix Federation of Teachers President Rosa Soto Thomas says she's been getting calls from teachers echoing concerns about the tank sitting there.
Teachers are very concerned about this gas tank being in such close proximity to the classrooms. And more so than that, they're concerned about their health and safety issues as well as their students. Parents have expressed concern about this tank being in such close proximity to the classrooms and on the campus as well.
The tank belongs to the Department of Human Services for their state-of-the-art Head Start facility recently constructed. Human Services hasn't taken possession of the property yet, but there's not much they can do.
I've been in touch with the commissioner this morning, Commissioner of Human Services, and what she's saying is that it'll cost too much to move this tank. I've also been promised that the Department of Human Services will erect a concrete wall here, and what we're seeing here is the metal fencing, what you call a picket fencing, and they still haven't followed through on their promises.
Soto Thomas says she's also been in talks with the Department of Education about what she sees as a health and safety issue. So far, there's been no movement. Public schools reopen in 3 weeks, and Soto Thomas wants the problem of the tank resolved.
Our teachers are back to work the first week in September, and it needs to be addressed.
Erica Parsons, News 2.
News 2 will keep you posted on responses from both the Department of Education as well as Human Services. The USVI Tourism hosted the annual Inter-Island Junior Tourism Commissioner Competition, as we reported last Friday, and CAHS senior Janisha Albane of St. Thomas was named the winner. And she will be joining the Commission of Tourism at the Caribbean Tourism Organization State of the Industry Conference in Curacao this October to present at a Caribbean-wide competition with other students from around the region. That competition was developed by the CTO to introduce Caribbean students to the fundamental role of tourism in the economic development of their countries. Tourism Commissioner Beverly Nicholson-Doty says she is confident that Janisha will do a superb job of representing our territory during her tenure. Now representing St. Croix was Tyree Nelson of Complex. Congrats to the two students. Well, we're already in mid-hurricane season without any major storm incidents yet. Officials of the Virgin Islands Territorial Emergency Management Agency spoke to News 2 on what the season looks like exactly in numbers, as well as what residents need to remember in any disaster situations. Their message? Never get complacent. News 2's April Knight has more.
It's been a quiet hurricane season, and meteorologists blame it on El Nino. Now the warm weather is said to further reduce the number of potential tropical storms and hurricanes this season.
Less than 12 named storms, approximately 11. 6 of the 8 would probably develop into like a tropical storm with 0 to 2 likely to turn into a hurricane.
But Vitima officials say residents should never let their guard down. According to Vitima Director Mona Barnes, Hurricane Hugo, which devastated St. Croix in 1989, also occurred during a weak hurricane season.
Basically, it only takes one hurricane. Yeah, for us to have a major disaster. It only takes one.
Vitima urges residents to have a basic emergency supply kit that's ready to go in case of a major emergency.
Water, non-perishable food. If you have medications, thinking in terms, if you have a pet, ensuring that you have enough water and food for the pet as well.
An emergency plan with the family should also be in place, so all family members are on the same page on what to do if or when disaster strikes. Director Barnes encourages residents to sign up for VI Alert or by going to www.vitima.gov to get updates on any emergency, hurricane season or not.
The biggest piece is not to become complacent. Prepare. It is better to be prepared and nothing happens than to not prepare and something happens.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
Now, those tips from Director Barnes can also be found at the website www.vitima.gov. You're also advised to check FEMA, Vitima's federal counterpart, at fema.gov. Also, some great tips. Vitima will be sharing some tips with us, some vital tips with us for the rest of the hurricane season, so be sure to tune in right here on News 2. Meanwhile, Vitima is monitoring an area of low pressure off the Cape Verde Islands designated by the National Hurricane Center as Invest 96L. According to the Hurricane Center's 8 a.m. special weather outlook, shower activities associated with an area of the low pressure located several hundred miles southwest of the Cape Verde Islands continues to show signs of organization that may lead to a tropical depression. Bernie has all the details, including an update, coming up next.